If you're new to the NCVI 2-in-1 electrical breast pump and wondering how to use it, stick around because in this NCVI pump video, I am going to walk you through all the different components that make up this NCVI pump, how to assemble them, and exactly how to use the NCVI 2-in-1 electric breast pump for a comfortable and effective pumping session. So let's get started and take a look at the parts that make up this 2-in-1 breast pump. First up, you have your pump motor. Now this is the heart of your pump. It's what creates the suction, controls your different pumping modes, and it also includes the unique Vibe Flow micro vibration technology. But we'll have a look at that in a little bit more detail shortly. Next, you may notice that you have your two different options for collecting milk. This is where the 2-in-1 part of the name comes from. You have your traditional pump to bottle setup, and then you have your hands-free collection cups which sit within your bra. But let's take a closer look at both of these options and their parts. So we'll start with the collection cup. If you just give me a moment to disassemble this. Rightio, so you have your flange. Now this is where your nipple sits during your pumping session. You have your duckbill valve. Now this helps guide the milk into your collection cup. Then you have your diaphragm. This prevents milk going into your tubing and pump motor, making it a closed system. And then you have your tubing cap that sits on top of your diaphragm. So how does this all go back together? Well, it's pretty easy. You take your duckbill valve, place it nice and firmly at the bottom of your connector on the back of your flange. Now you want to make sure that the flat end is in alignment with the flat end of your flange. Then you're going to connect this to your collection cup, and you'll see here there is a little groove for the ridge on your flange. So if you line them up best you can, then push in nice and firm. Now there is a little lip here that needs to be lifted up and pushed over your edging of your collection cup. So I like to go around, run my fingers around once I'm done. It's really important with all of your connection points that you have them in nice and securely. This will impact your suction and overall output if you have parts that are loose or there's air gaps. So make sure that you have these nice and firm in place. Once your flange is attached, take the pouring spout lid and push that in place. That will help prevent any spillage. Next, take your diaphragm, place that in the top, push that down nice and firmly. Then take your, take your connector for the tubing and place that in nice and firm. Now you'll want to make sure the tubing connection is facing away from your flange. Now with the collection cup, you are going to want to remove the tubing connector on one end. So it is just the tubing. This inserts into the hands-free connector, nice and firm. The other end then connects into your pump motor. You have a left and a right side. So if you want to only do single pumping, choose a side, push that in. For double pumping, you use both sides. So this is set up for your single pumping with your hands-free collection cup. But if we prefer to use the bottle setup, let's take a look. So firstly, let me disassemble this so then we can show you all the parts. Again, it's pretty minimal in terms of parts. You have your connector piece, which connects all the parts together. Have your duckbill valve, again, drives or your breast milk into your bottle. You have your diaphragm, your tubing connector that sits on top of the diaphragm, and your flange. Now, with both of these, the flanges, it's really important to go through and find your correct flange size. You do get flange inserts that come in your kit. Now, these can simply get inserted within your flange, either your hands-free or your traditional flange. Now, this will reduce your flange tunnel diameter. Really important for your sizing. Too small or too large, it can cause damage and impact your overall output. So use the nipple ruler. I do have a video on how to measure your nipple size, but also know that you do have the flange inserts that come with this in the smaller size. If you do need a larger flange size, you will need to look at purchasing these separate. These are a standard 24mm flange. Okay, so how does this all go back together? We're going to take our duckbill valve and insert that to the bottom of our connector. Again, making sure it is nice and firm in place. Take our our diaphragm, place that on top. Again, pushing down, making sure it is firmly in place. Your tubing connector. Make sure that the part that connects to your tubing is the opposite side of your flange. Take your flange, place that into your connector, then simply screw on the bottle, and we're ready to attach our tubing. Notice we have the tubing connection point on here that simply pushes in, and then we take the other end and attach it to our pump motor. Again, single or double pumping if you choose. So now we are essentially set up for pumping, but first let's take a look at our pump motor and the settings that are on there before we get started with how we actually pump. So on the pump itself, you can see here there is a little sun. This is your night light option. This can be turned on or off and provides your light. You have your power button here. I currently have this on pause. You can unpause by pressing it, pause by a short press, and then hold it down to power your pump on or off. You have your M button. Now this is for changing between the different modes. There are 4 modes with this NCVI pump. You have your multitronic mode, and that is 3 little droplets here. Now this is a very variable frequency to get more milk. You then have your massage mode. Now this is the mode you generally start in, and it is to initiate your letdown. They are short suctions for initiating that letdown. You then have a suck simulation mode. Now this is the natural sucking pattern of a baby. Looks a bit like 2 dummies. And then you have your teardrop, which is your expression mode. Now these are the longer, deep suctions for drawing out your breast milk. So there are 4 modes available. There are also 9 different suction levels. So you can adjust these by the minus or the plus option. I will go into that in detail in a few minutes. And then on the other side, you have 5 different adjustable speed cycle settings. Then you have flashing here is your timer. Again, I have this on pause, so it is currently not just showing zeros and flashing. This will count up as you have your pump running, and then you have your battery icon, which tells you how much battery you have. So going through that, we are ready to start pumping. Now, before I dive in, I will also mention about that Vibe Flow micro vibration technology. So on this pump, it has a micro vibration technology. So it sucks. It has the suction, which pulls your milk down through the flange and the valve as usual, but it also has little micro vibrations that create these tiny little ripples of movement that help to stimulate more ducts at once. So imagine this is on your breast. You have these tiny micro vibrations. So your breast milk is being drawn down and your ducts are also getting stimulation. So this will feel quite gentle, a little bit like a massage while you are wearing a pump, but it helps to stimulate the more milk ducts and encourage letdown and improve your overall comfort and output. So that is part of your modes on here. Okay, so we are ready to pump. You are going to take your collection container, whether it be your hands-free or your traditional pump to bottle. You are going to attach it with your nipple aligned centrally and then use a firm or secure fitting pumping bra to hold your pump in place. This is important because you don't want your nipple moving around during your pumping session. You want it to be nice and central. And then we're going to turn our pump on. I recommend starting on a low suction level, around a 2 or a 3, and adjust up depending on your comfort level and output. I also recommend starting with your massage mode. So we want to start on our massage mode and run for around 1 to 2 minutes to initiate our letdown. And then we can move over to the expression mode, or you can switch between your mix mode or your multitronic mode, depending on what you prefer. Also recommend starting low with your speed cycle suctions and again adjusting up depending on what is comfortable for you and depending on what your output is. Your pumping session should last for about 15 to 20 minutes. It can vary person to person. And once you have finished your pumping session, you're going to want to obviously pause or turn off your pump. You're going to want to then lean forward, making sure any of your breast milk is coming down the flange. You're then going to want to take a finger and break the seal. You don't want to just rip your pump off because that's going to rip your nipple with it. So lean forward, break the seal gently, and then remove your pump. Once that's done, we can then store our breast milk. If it's in your bottle, you can add a lid or feed it to your baby straight away. Place that into storage. You cannot store milk in your hands-free cup. Instead, you're going to need to open the pouring spout and then pour that into a collection or storage container. I recommend removing your tubing just to prevent any breast milk getting on that before you do your pour. And then once that milk is nice and safe, we're going to want to pull our collection containers apart and wash all of the parts that have come into contact with the breast milk. Now, your tubing and your pump motor, thanks to your diaphragm, will not come in contact with breast milk and do not need to be cleaned. If you notice you get a little bit of breast milk on your pump motor splash, then just get a dry damp cloth or a damp cloth and give it a little wipe. But we do not want these to come in contact with our water. They don't need it. You will damage them and potentially need to replace them. Good news is these are top rack dishwasher safe, so it makes cleaning nice and easy. You'll need to sterilize them at least once a day. So clean after every use and then sterilize at least once a day. And then that is your NCVI 2-in-1 electrical pump. So I hope this step-by-step guide has made it a nice, simple, stress-free process for you. If you found it helpful, please do me a favor and hit that like button, as it really does help. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask and I'll do my best to answer them. And make sure to hit that subscribe for more great breast pump tutorials, reviews, and tips. Cheers.